I'm giving you huge clues. You're absolutely silent. What about the fact that you had a dual system there? You had two superpowers. You have one superpower in the current state of affairs. What about other things? Firstly, Georgia launched the initial attack. No? Okay. It's recent history, but we can know that. But this is playing on preconceptions among the audience, because people believed that it was Russia who launched the initial attack, the first attack. Although, at the time, for those who know what to look for, it was obvious that Georgia did, and secondly, it came to be within the EU investigation afterwards that Georgia had in fact launched the attack. You did have Saakashvili saying initially, and it was he was quoted in the New York Times that Georgia launched the attack before Russia could. So, but people believe, because Georgia, little tiny country, Russia, a very large country, so it would make sense if Georgia did not attack, but was a victim of that attack. But so you've got these particular things. So one particular thing which is used within news and within it's actually a form of deception, but it's quite a sneaky one. That you will give a number of different points. For instance, the war has broken out between Georgia and Russia. The attack commenced, blah, 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 for example. But you will not say who launched the attack. But most people will automatically go through this within their own mind and fill in this blank space. They will read the headlines. Georgian-Russian war, blah, 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 attack started, Russia attacked. This would be what they'll be thinking based upon their previous experience, previous information which they're being subjected to. And this is quite an effective form of influencing people. And it's one that is quite often used. It can also be used in advertising. That you trigger an automatic response from someone. And by triggering that response in someone, you actually make them believe that they came up with the idea themselves, which makes it more believable from the individual's perspective. And if we go within the broad sphere of information and how it operates in the military environment, you have the physical military environment and you also have an information environment which run parallel to each other. And it has different levels, 3 different levels. The lowest level is tactical, and that is within one particular unit, within one particular part of a city, etc. This is what I mean by tactical, very local. Then you have the operational level, so this might be concerning one particular area of operations, for instance, Iraq. And then you could have the strategic level, which is the highest level, and this operates on both the physical and information environments, and this is the level under which everything comes. So I mean, you've heard these notions, for instance, strategic communication. This is the idea which encompasses everything, and you have a mixture where you bring in concepts which are meant to express that. And catchphrases, for instance, which are very useful because these are easy to remember and they're usually quite symbolic in their meaning. Global war on terrorism, for instance, because that's which is abbreviated to GWOT sometimes, GWOT. This expresses what it is, although you've had the US State Department, for instance, change the name of that because you have war in it, and war is something which is nasty and which should be avoided, so they called it, rebranded it as Overseas Contingency Operation. So you take away the whole concept of war even, to make it something less threatening. And this, for instance, came after you had George W. Bush's absolutely disastrous initial branding of the campaign. Can you remember what that was? When the attacks on 9/11 occurred, George Bush declared a certain something against terrorism. Can you remember what this was? It's September 2001.
Yeah.
What?
Что за поправка? Он считал то же самое, что Гитлер говорил.
Can anyone remember the word that he used, which caused a lot of people problems?
Что заявил Джордж Буш перед нападением на башню
Падение башни
Вот это я не помню.
He used one specific word, which is a very loaded historical word. And he used this, which in a Western Christian sense was absolutely fine because it's legitimate, it's something romantic, but in a Muslim understanding, it's something completely common. No one, do you remember the word? Crusade. Yeah. Yeah. So this, in a Western sense, is quite fine, Christian sense, because if we look in the movies, Kingdom of Heaven, all of these movies, they're lovely. It shows what gallant and heroic acts occurred in these things. But from a Muslim perspective, this was a very bloody, a very painful part of history. So it appealed to an American audience, or a more conservatively oriented American audience, but in the Middle East it caused a lot of problems because it's the same word, but you have completely different understandings of what it means. So this rings a bell? Remember? Okay, so I mean, this is important because the choice of words are absolutely critical. These are not something which are chosen randomly. These words are very, very carefully chosen because words are loaded, they're symbolic. As different acts can be symbolic. You can have what they call iconic moments. You know, you've got an icon, iconic, something which is very memorable. And these are quite often used in a very patriotic, a very emotional sense to rally people, to get them to believe, to get them to act in a certain way. And if we're looking, we can look in a Russian context. The raising of the red banner over the Reichstag in 1945. You have a picture which you can show. You don't need to put a single word with it because all of the meaning, you all know what it is about. You've got a sense of pride, you've got all these other emotions that come with it without anyone saying a single word. You have these things which are also used within these current wars. If we look within, for instance, Iraq, in April, I think it was, March, April 2003, when Baghdad was under the process of occupation by